You think you know mythical creatures? You don't. Because today, we're talking about the kind of folklore that exists solely to punish bad decisions. These are some of the most terrifying mythical creatures ever imagined. Or not imagined. Hopefully imagined. Let's begin. If you've ever heard a fairy tale and thought, wow, this feels specifically designed to traumatize children, then congratulations. You've already met Baba Yaga. And if you haven't, amazing. Your childhood was way safer than mine. At first glance, Baba Yaga seems pretty standard. Old woman, lives in the woods, eats kids, you know the drill. Very Hansel and Gretel, very do not wander off the path. But the more you learn about Baba Yaga, the more you realize she's not just another evil forest grandma. She's worse, and somehow, also more complicated. First of all, Baba Yaga isn't one witch. She's more like a brand. Think vampires or fast food chains. There are multiple Baba Yagas, sometimes 3 living together, which honestly sounds like the worst roommate situation imaginable. Her name roughly translates to old woman mixed with horror or wicked, which feels less like a name and more like a warning label. She lives deep in the forest because of course she does. And her house? Oh boy. Her house is a wooden hut surrounded by a fence made of human bones, topped with skulls that glow, and the entire thing stands on giant chicken legs. Yes, chicken. Legs. The house walks around whenever it feels like it, spins endlessly, and only stops if you politely tell it to face the front door. Fairy tales did not care about logic. And while most witches use brooms like amateurs, Baba Yaga flies around in a giant mortar, steering with a pestle while sweeping away her tracks with a broom so nobody can follow her. Efficient, terrifying, extremely rude. Physically, Baba Yaga looks exactly like what you'd expect. Skeletal, hunched, iron teeth, a nose so long it sometimes touches the ceiling when she sleeps. Perfect for sniffing out children, which is unfortunate because children are her favorite snack. Babies especially. Folklore really said, no mercy. But here's where it gets weird. Baba Yaga isn't always the bad guy. Sometimes she doesn't hunt anyone at all. Instead, people go to her. And if you do, congrats. You've signed up for the worst chore list of your life. Cook, clean, spin thread, fetch water using a sieve. Fail and she eats you. Succeed and she might reward you with magical items or life-saving advice. She keeps her word, mostly. When she feels like it. One of her most famous stories involves a girl named Vasilisa, who survives Baba Yaga's deadly task and gets rewarded with a glowing human skull that literally incinerates her abusive family. Moral of the story? Be polite, do your chores, and sometimes a forest witch will solve your family drama permanently. That's exactly why Baba Yaga remains one of the most terrifying figures in folklore. Sweet dreams, and stay out of the woods. If you're the kind of person who thinks following a mysterious stranger at night is a solid life choice, Central American folklore has been trying to warn you for centuries, and that warning's name is La Siguanaba. Once upon a time, she wasn't a nightmare fuel monster at all. She was called Sihuehuet, which literally means beautiful woman. And yeah, she lived up to the name. She was charming, stunning, and influential enough to marry a prince named Yesun. Fairy tale setup complete. Then Yesun went off to war, and Sihuehue immediately chose chaos. While her husband was gone, she started having affairs, lots of them. One of these resulted in a child named El Cipitio, whose father was Lucero de la Mañana, basically Lucifer's morning shift alias, depending on who you ask. And unsurprisingly, the gods were not thrilled. In one version of the legend, the god Tlaloc found out that Sihuehue was leaving her child alone to sneak off with her lovers. Parenting score, 0. As punishment, Tlaloc cursed her so that when men first saw her, she appeared impossibly beautiful. But the moment she turned around, boom, horrifying face. Sometimes described as horse-like, sometimes worse. From that moment on, she was cursed to wander the countryside forever, specifically hunting mujeriegos, men who cheat and chase women, targeted content. Men would spot her late at night, usually near rivers or roads, often naked or wearing a see-through gown, and follow her like complete idiots. Then she'd turn around, and that's it. Either they die from sheer terror or survive just long enough to regret everything. Natural selection doing its thing. Another version of the legend somehow manages to be even more unhinged. In this telling, Sihuehuet planned to poison her husband with the help of a witch so she could hand the throne to Lucero. But instead of dying, Yesun transformed into a giant two-headed monster and slaughtered everyone at a festival before being killed himself. Which feels like a massive escalation, but mythology is gonna mythology. Yesun's father begged Tlaloc for revenge and the god went all in. Sihuehuet was transformed into La Siguanaba, which roughly translates to hideous woman, and her son El Cipitio was cursed to live forever with backward feet. Because symbolism, from that moment on, La Siguanaba became a roaming curse. In Guatemala, she's usually found near cliffs or ravines, luring men closer before driving them insane or throwing them to their deaths. If a man survives seeing her face, she touches him, scrambles his mind, and leads him so far away that he's never seen again. Other versions say she was cursed after being forced into marriage, because folklore loves tragic backstories almost as much as it loves punishment. So how do you survive La Siguanaba? Folklore has suggestions. None of them are great. You can bite a cross or religious medallion. You can bite a machete, which feels like advice invented by someone who never tried it. You can pull her hair. Or you can shout, "No te vas a ir, Maria, pata de gallina," 3 times, which roughly translates to aggressively insulting her until she runs away. La Siguanaba isn't just a monster. She's a warning, a punishment, a shape-shifting reminder that if you follow strangers into the dark, the problem probably isn't the supernatural being. It's you. Sleep tight. If you've ever wondered what would happen if a bird, a human, and Zeus having a really bad day all came together, congratulations, you've just created a harpy. These delightful creatures come straight out of Greek and Roman mythology, and they're basically what happens when the concept of wind decides it also hates you personally. Harpies are usually described as half-human, half-bird monsters. Imagine a massive bird with huge wings and claws, and then just slap a human woman's face on it. Not a pretty one either. Pale skin, hollow eyes, permanently starving expression. Roman writers really wanted you to know how ugly these things were, like they were personally offended by them. Meanwhile, Greek pottery sometimes shows harpies as beautiful winged women, so either ancient artists were confused or beauty standards have always been a mess. Originally, harpies weren't even monsters. They started out as wind spirits, basically living embodiments of violent storm winds. Their name literally means snatchers, which is already a red flag. These things didn't hunt for sport. No, they specialized in stealing food while you were eating it, which might actually be worse than murder. And if you were a really bad person, like someone who murdered their own family, the harpies wouldn't just steal your lunch. They'd grab you, haul you screaming into the sky, and drag you straight to the underworld for punishment. Efficient, brutal, zero customer service. Fun fact, if someone randomly disappeared in ancient Greece, people didn't investigate. They didn't panic. They just shrugged and said, "Yep, harpies. Case closed." So, yeah, that was unpleasant. Let me know which creature messed you up the most in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. If not, you still made it this far. Thanks for watching. My name is John, and I probably know too much about this. Sleep tight.